Well, holy smokers, folks, you gotta be flipping my flapjacks. Today, we're talking about the Chef, Tattoo Chef TTCF stock, and short sellers, consider yourself warned. There's a lot of stuff that is about to happen that I want to explain to folks out there in relation to Tattoo Chef stock, okay? Some things that are going on very short term here that is very, very important, and some factors to look at if you're thinking about as from a long-term perspective, and why shorts are going to find themselves in a whole lot of trouble in relation to this stock. So, yeah, it's a Tattoo Chef dedicated video here today. Hope you guys enjoy this. As always, all I ask in return is that you smash that like button. That's literally it. And even for the Tattoo Chef short sellers, listen, you guys aren't going to make any money on the stock over the next 5 years, so you might as well just smash a like because it's going to make you feel good. We have a free 7-day trial going on right now for the private stock group, and since we launched this last week, there's been crazy demand, so it might be a little tough to get in there right now, but you can always try to apply down there with the pinned comment. That will be for the free 7-day trial of the private stock group, private Discord chat, and the course curriculums. Alrighty, guys, so this is kind of a continuation from the video I posted a few days ago called TTCF will 10x, okay? Now, by the way, I just wanted to show, like, I know every once in a while I get a comment like, oh, you only talk about Tattoo Chef on the channel. No, like, none of these videos had anything to do with Tattoo Chef. It's just, I think some folks just watch my TTCF videos, or what it could be Tattoo Chef short sellers. And the last thing a short seller wants is any attention being brought to a stock that they're short. That's usually a bad thing. So, first thing we got to understand is most people don't understand growth companies. And this includes Wall Street, by the way. I'm not just saying like retail investors. I'm saying even Wall Street. Most of those folks don't understand growth companies. And even more so, they don't understand how to value growth companies, and they don't understand major catalysts for certain stocks out there and why these stocks will be game changers. And you just got to understand, like, they don't get it. They can't grasp it, okay? And so it's a very, very hard thing to grasp. Like, I didn't even touch growth stocks, really, until I had been in the market for several years. And a lot of investors can never, ever really understand growth companies, and they just can't get it, okay? I try to do my best job possible in the private stock group to explain exactly how I value growth stocks and how I identify the next one and next one and next one and things like that. But I can tell you, it's very, very difficult for most folks. Let's be honest. If it was easy, Wall Street and investors in general, they would have hopped in Tesla when I was hopping in Tesla in 2018, 2019, right? Everybody would have been in that play. And who was actually in that play? Very few people. Because most people looked at Tesla, and what did they say about Tesla even when this stock was a $30-something stock on a split adjusted basis? They said Tesla was significantly overvalued. Other folks said this stock was on its way to $0. And overall, there was a very small and niche community around Tesla that was actually really, really bullish on this stock. And these folks knew what the heck they were doing. They knew what they were looking at here, and they knew how to value Tesla, right? And meanwhile, we obviously see how this one played out over time. And anybody who got to thrive because they, were able to understand the growth companies on a high enough level, I mean, it's amazing, right? But for the rest of Wall Street, they didn't get to participate. And for most investors in general, they didn't get to participate in this one because they didn't get it. They didn't know how to value this stock. They didn't know anything like that, right? Look at NVIDIA. This was a stock that, basically I taught a friend exactly how to invest. He came over my apartment back in the day, and I showed him everything. And in 2014, he brought this stock to me, NVIDIA. I didn't get it. I'll be honest, I didn't get it. I didn't get how this company was going to be a game changer in the future. I didn't get how they were valued, things like that. He bought it. I didn't. He made a fortune on that stock. Back then, the stock was under $5 on a split adjusted basis back in 2014. Today, NVIDIA's $208 a share, right? And most of Wall Street and the high majority of investors, they didn't get this stock, okay? And it went on to become a game changer in one of the bigger companies in the world. If you look at a company like Monster Beverage, this was a stock I was fortunate enough to participate right in and got some amazing gains in this. This is a simple company, a drink maker. I talked about this one a little bit in the 10X video for TTCF, right? You go back to 2010, this is a $6 and some change stock, right? It was an easy 10X from basically 2010 to 2020. And, you know, most of Wall Street and most investors in general just did not get to participate in that. They didn't get like how much growth was really going to be there. Ulta Beauty, one of the simplest ones out there that I could possibly find. Like, this is a retail company that sells beauty products, makeup products. They also have like salons and even do like some facials and stuff like that in a lot of their places. Such a simple stock, maybe even simpler than honestly Monster. And look at this stock between 2010 and today, a little over a decade, right? I mean, this stock went from 20-something dollars a share to $383 a share. Absolutely incredible. Most folks just didn't get it, right? Shopify. You go back 4 years ago, Shopify's under $100. Today's $1,300. The stock is 13x plus. Most folks didn't understand Shopify on a high enough level to understand their true TAM behind this business and where that company was going over time, right? Now, those are some companies there. Now, you got to be careful when it comes to growth stocks. You might think, well, every single growth stock out there is a buy, and it's not accurate, okay? Something like Peloton, which is a company I was short. I don't usually go short companies, but I was short. I covered my short a little too early. I made good money on it. But needless to say, Peloton, this was a bad example of a growth company, because when I looked at this one, I said, this is a company that's in the fitness space. Guess what? If you know anything about history of business, you know there's a whole lot of companies that come up in the fitness space and they're booming and their business is going crazy, and then it's like a flip of a switch and all of a sudden, snap of a fingers, the company is devastated, right? Revenues all of a sudden start flatlining, downtrending, and even worse for Peloton, they got a perfect scenario for basically an 18-month span where the whole world had to shut down, gyms had to shut down, which sent a bunch of traffic to them, so it was a great short-term thing for them, right? And it pushed up the valuation to, I believe at its peak, I believe the valuation was $40 billion plus on this company, if not $50 billion. Which is absolutely insane for a company in this space. But the valuation got pushed like insane, and you got to be ultra careful when there's a history of these sorts of companies going through a hot phase, and then they come down and down and down and down. It just like literally we could go through 10 different companies that got hot in this space in the past 20, 30 years, and every single time those companies start downtrending and downtrending and downtrending, right? Now, here's a big thing for the short sellers, right? So if you look at Tesla stock, right? When Tesla lowered their Model 3 price, because when the Model 3 first came out, it was actually pretty expensive. And then over time, Tesla was able to bring down the price of the Model 3. The short sellers, what did they shout loud and clear? And anybody that's a Tesla shareholder, you'll know this, right? That has been in the stock for years, right? The short sellers said, hey, that means Tesla has no demand and their margins are going to get destroyed now. Right? So every single short seller was getting on the mountaintops and shouting, Tesla has no demand. That's why they have to lower their price. Their margins, they have no margins. The margins are going to get worse than ever, right? And some things that Wall Street and short sellers did not understand was Elon Musk is like, I got to take market share over time if I'm going to become a big major player in the vehicle market, right? We've got to have price points that, appeal to folks that can actually afford the cars, right? And so this was very, very important from Elon. Let's take market share. It doesn't mean we have no demand. We're just going to push the demand more than ever, right? And margins, keep in mind, as a business scales, if you got a good management team in a scaling business, they will find ways to get cost synergies in the business. They will find ways to bring down the cost of making their product, right? And still be able to give you just as great of an experience without taking anything away, but they bring down their costs and they figure out ways. Hey, maybe we order more in bulk. Maybe we switch this out. Maybe we do this, right? And so that's what happens to great businesses with good management teams on them. Doesn't mean they have no demand, and doesn't mean their margins are getting destroyed. Something with Tattooed Chef. Be prepared for this, longs, okay? If TTCF does any sales, if they ever lower price, anything like that, guess what the shorts are going to go to the mountaintops and say? They're going to say, there's no demand for Tattooed Chef, and there's no margin for Tattooed Chef. When all along, Sam Galletti and the Tattooed Chef management team will just likely be taking market share, right? They're likely going to go after market share if they ever do things like this. And keep in mind, I would almost guarantee you that company right now and over the next several years, as this company scales bigger and bigger, they're going to be able to bring down the cost of making each product, right? And that cost will come down. The products will get more profitable. And if they want to give some of that back to the consumer to push up market share and brand relevance, then they're going to go ahead and do that. But you got to understand, the short sellers of Tattooed Chef, they're going to go to the mountaintops and they're going to say this, okay? Now, it's very, very interesting because those same short sellers will tell you right now Tattooed Chef's product is too expensive and no one can afford the product, right? And so it's just funny, like the short seller is going to shout whatever they want to shout, right? They're going to try to make the stock look as bad as possible because they need that stock to go down short term, or they're going to get absolutely wrecked on these stocks. They want to try to erode the shareholder base of these stocks. They wanted to try, and they tried their hardest. They tried their absolute hardest with Tesla stock to erode the long-term shareholder base of Tesla stock. And they're trying it with Tattooed Chef now. They're trying to erode the shareholder base of Tattooed Chef. And so all the longs end up having disbelief in the company, and they don't believe the company can do this, do that, and you kind of end up in this downward spiral. And they're trying to do it with Tattooed Chef. I watched them try to do it with Tesla, and obviously the Tesla longs ended up winning that game. And I've watched them do it with a lot of other stocks, and sometimes they're very, very successful. And you got to understand, in a lot of these stocks, especially if it has a big retail crowd, some of those folks are easy to get out of some of these stocks, right? And if they see, the short sellers continuing to just say this stuff, right? There's no demand, there's no margin, blah, blah, blah. If they continue to say those sorts of things, there's going to be some longs that are like, oh, shoot, maybe they're right. There's no demand for that. Oh, Tesla dropped the Model 3 price. Oh, they must not be able to sell any cars. People end up starting to believe it, right? And it can have a short-term negative effect on the stock. But at the end of the day, the longs that know what they're doing, they stay long and they end up thriving. So over the weekend, I was at this charity event, Pokemon event. It was at Dumb Money. Ended up doing it, and Gary Pokemon and some other folks ended up putting on this event. It was pretty cool, and I saw Andre there. And just for a real quick second, we talked about Bitcoin for just a moment, and I said to him, the interesting thing about Bitcoin is, the whole case around it ever going to zero or something like that is obviously not a realistic case, because there's so many folks that believe so much in Bitcoin. Bitcoin always has value, regardless if you think Bitcoin doesn't have value, does have value, anything like that. And I saw Jamie Dimon today say Bitcoin's worthless, right? Regardless of what other folks think, there's a massive amount of people that believe Bitcoin has value. So there's just folks that are relentless holders of Bitcoin that aren't interested in selling it and are always interested in buying it, okay? And so that point kind of, I thought about that for a moment, and I thought about, obviously, the Chef stock, right? When it comes to Chef stock, there's a lot of folks, including myself, that believe this stock is going to 10x or more over the coming years. And when you have that sort of stock and when you have that sort of opportunity, you got to understand those folks are going to be holding the stock, and they're going to be relentlessly buying the stock, regardless if it's at $30, $40, $50, $20, $15. It doesn't matter. Okay, as The Rock says, it doesn't matter what the stock price is. Folks like myself are not interested in selling the stock, and we're going to be relentless buyers of the stock. Okay, let's say Tattooed Chef tomorrow. No, likely not going to happen, but let's say it happens. Tattooed Chef tomorrow goes down 20%. The shorts are going to be celebrating, claiming victory, claiming they're geniuses, right? They're like, oh my gosh, see, I told you that stock was a piece of junk. Meanwhile, somebody like myself and a ton of other longs, we're going to be like, okay, that's a 20% discount on Tattooed Chef. Buy. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be like, oh gosh, now we got to sell. We're going to be relentlessly buying the stock if that happens. And so when it comes to a stock like this, where folks truly believe, and I truly believe to my core, that this will be a stock that becomes a food giant over the next 5 to 7 years. When you have folks like myself that believe that, no different than I always believed that Tesla could become a mass vehicle maker, which they're on their trajectory to do that now. When you have tons of folks that believe that, right? you're going to have folks that just continue to hold the stock regardless of what happens with the short-term stock price. And these folks will relentlessly buy. Because here's the thing, right? If you believe Tattoo Chef, let's say, is going to $200 a share over the next 7 years because you believe they're going to get to a certain net income and they'll be able to command a certain PE and a certain price to sales ratio and those sorts of things, right? Let's say the stock goes to $30 and you believe it's going to $200, right? $30 is still a steal and a half, right? Let's say you believe it's going to $200 and it goes to 40. It's still a deal and a half. If it goes to 50. And so that's where the shorts end up winding themselves into a massive pickle, essentially, in a really bad scenario for themselves. Because you got a bunch of folks who are just happy to hold this stock, right? Regardless if it goes up or down, and will relentlessly buy the stock as it goes up over time because of the long-term opportunity. And when it comes to the Tattooed Chef, it is all about the long-term opportunity. No one from the long side cares, really, in any major way, what the next quarterly numbers are for Tattooed Chef. We're all going to look at them. We're all going to hope it's, 45% or 55% or 65%. Like, we'd all like the best growth possible, right? We'd all love that. But at the end of the day, all of us longs aren't making our buy or sell decisions based upon whether they slightly beat numbers, slightly miss numbers, or they massively beat numbers or something like that. We're making our decisions based upon the long-term bullish thesis in Tattooed Chef. And that's another thing that the short sellers messed up on Tesla, is they thought everybody was going to get caught up into the short-term numbers for Tesla. And, they didn't hit this margin. They took this loss and things like that. When the longs with Tesla, like, we don't care. We're in this for the long term. We're in this for, the fact that Tesla can make 5 million, 10 million cars a year and in the future, right? And hopefully become an autonomous taxi network and all these sorts of things, right? And all the crazy opportunities for Tesla. And when it comes to Tattooed Chef, I'm in the stock, very simply put, because I believe it's going to become a food giant. And food giants are valued anywhere between $10 billion and $300 billion. And that's where I think Tattooed Chef's going over the next 5 to 7 years. And so that's why I continue to hold this stock in the simplest way possible. Now, something else very important that the shorts, consider yourself warned, okay? This is about to hit. So, Tattooed Chef, guess what? Tattooed Chef went public via a SPAC, Special Purpose Acquisition Company deal between the Forum, Merger 2, and Intel International on October 20th, and began publicly trading on the NASDAQ in November 2020. Why is that very, very important there? Well, we're in October of 2021 right now, which means we are about to come up on the 1-year mark of Tattooed Chef being a public company. Why this is so dang key is essentially a ton of investors, and including myself sometimes, unless it's a very special situation, a ton of investors don't even consider a stock until they've been public at least 1 full year. And Tattooed Chef is about to hit that magical 1-year mark. And like I said, even myself, usually I won't even consider a company if it's gone public in basically less than 12 months, unless it's a very, very special situation. I remember after Facebook went public, 4 months after, the stock had basically been cut in half, and I took advantage of that opportunity. I saw that stock, and I'm like, okay, there's something there. In Corsair Gaming, I saw something there where I was like, oh man, for the next several years, I think the stock can end up being a beast, and that was a company I got in and been public for less than a year, and obviously Tattooed Chef here. So I don't do it very often, but every once in a while, there's an opportunity too good that I just can't ignore it. And keep in mind the amount of hedge funds and the amount of investors in general that are going to start checking this stock out now that it's been a year since going public, right? That starts in November. You just think about it from this context, right? Imagine 10 hedge funds looking at Tattooed Chef, which would not be a large amount, 10, right? All it takes is a couple and start buying up this stock, and imagine what's going to happen to the price of stock, right? So when I look at myself with the shares I have, so I'm over 50,000 shares in my main big dog account now, and I have a bunch of shares in other accounts as well. I'm a happy holder of this stock. If this stock goes beast mode, not selling a single share. If it goes down a bunch, I'm buying, and I'm relentlessly buying. Doesn't matter to me. And when it comes to this stock, okay? Now, one last point I want to make here in regards to Tattooed Chef. This is very, very important. I have found over time that stocks that actually have usually the biggest opportunities are usually stocks that are extremely divisive. And I've seen this time and time again. In being on YouTube and talking about stocks all the time, most of the time that I talk about stocks, oh, I'm buying this stock, oh, I'm buying this stock, it's not very divisive, right? People are kind of just like either impartial, or maybe they're slightly bullish, or they're slightly bearish, but they're not really passionate about it, right? And what I have found specifically with TTCF stock, Tattooed Chef, is this stock is insanely divisive. People don't really just go down the middle. I have found a lot of folks want to root against this company. They want to hate on this company. They want to short sell it. I read through the comments. I read through forums. I read through message boards. I love seeing the general gist around a stock. And then the amount of people that are insanely bullish around this stock that will protect it at all costs and believe that this is a 10x stock is an immense amount. The fact is that Tattooed Chef is the most divisive stock I have personally been part of since Tesla. That is a fact. There's been no stock I've been a part of that when I speak out about it, there's people waiting to tear it down. There's people waiting to build it up. There are people waiting to hate on it. There are people waiting to love on it, right? That is the bottom line when it comes to Tattooed Chef. In those divisive stocks, okay? You know what it ends up bringing? It brings attention. It brings drama. It brings people talking about it. That's a divisive stock. And the last thing short sellers want in a stock is a divisive stock. And the reason being is essentially it brings a ton of attention. And the more and more attention a stock gets, the more and more folks look into that stock, including big investors. And they say, maybe I see something here. And when those big investors get involved, that's when the short sellers absolutely get wrecked. You didn't get, I went through Nvidia, Tesla, Monster, a ton of those stocks, right? Those didn't go up because retail investors were buying them, right? The retail investors was just a cherry on top. And the fact that retail investors were happy holders of those stocks as they just beasted over the past several years. But it's really big money, index fund money, hedge fund money, that sort of money, high net worth individuals. That's the money that pushes. And the more and more attention a stock like Tattooed Chef gets, the more and more those folks look into it. The more and more divisive it gets, the more and more attention it gets, and it starts to become like a fulfilling prophecy. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to smash that like button before you leave. If you want to take advantage of that free 7-day trial, we got a few spots left over the next week or so. Check out the pinned comment down there. Much love as always, guys, and have a great day. By the way, if you get in the 7-day free trial, check us out for the TTCF chat. We got a specific chat in there. Thanks, guys. Peace.